On the last hand of play, you had pocket eights and David had the ace four. Did you think you were good?
Well, statistically, I was highly likely to have the best hand.
Yeah, heads up.
And normally heads up, when you have a pair, you might re-raise. But I decided, I mean, the money was really deep. We had 260 big blinds on the table. And so David had like 70, 75, and I had 185, 190, something like that. So, you know, the money's really deep at that point. So when he's raising to 300,000, you know, he's only putting in less than 5% of his chips. Now, I could re-raise and have him put in 15%, but the problem is, you know, with a pair of eights, you know, 9, 10, jack, queen, king, ace. You know, half the deck is an overcard, and with three of them on the flop, there's almost always going to be one overcard, and frequently two, and sometimes three.
Yeah.
So you're not going to know where you're at.
So you decided to just call.
I decided to just call because that way, you know, I'm keeping the pot smaller. You know, there's more room for moves and making plays after the flop. And if I flop a set, he'll probably never put me on a set. So with any luck, if I'd really been lucky, the flop would have come like ace-8-4.
Yes, that would have been ideal.
You know, something like that.
It worked out okay.
Because then there's no way he's getting away. There's no way he would ever think that he doesn't have the best hand.
Yeah.
I mean, whether he called all in or raised all in, he would be 100% confident that he wanted me all in with him.
Yes.
So, you know, that's the real goal in a spot like that, you know, is you're just setting your opponent up. Plus, let's say, you know, I just end up winning a small pot, you know. We check it down or something after the flop, turn and river, and I turn over a pair of eights. Well, now I've put it in his head that when I just call his raise, I don't have to have a weak hand. I can actually have a quite strong hand. So every hand after that, you know, if I make a bet or a raise into him, it's going to occur to him, not just that I've hit the board, but that I could just have started with a good-sized pair. So that's part of the reason, too, is kind of, yeah, I mean, you know, you're taking all these things, you know, should I raise, should I call? Clearly folding would have been wrong.
Yeah.
But part of the reasons to, you know, make the decisions is not just what's optimal for this hand, but what's going to set things up for future hands. And I'll do that quite frequently at the beginning of a table is, you know, play a really strong starting hand weak pre-flop, just so that if I show it down, my opponents will know
that you're capable of that.
That I'm capable of it, and that'll be in their head, hopefully, that even though Greg just called my raise, he can still have aces, he can still have kings or ace-king or whatever. You know, he doesn't always re-raise with those hands.
Plant the seed of doubt.
Yeah, exactly. You know, in the same way, I'll sometimes, you know, you got to raise with a weak hand every now and then. You know, raise with the 6-7 of spades, you know, pre-flop to show them that, you know, when I raise and the flop comes 3-4-5, that doesn't guarantee that the flop didn't improve my hand. And they know that anyways, probably, but you want to kind of reinforce it a little bit and always make them wonder about where you're at.
Right.
You want to play the hand kind of optimally most of the time. But I decided to mix it up right away since it was early in the heads-up match. And then when the flop came 5-high, I'm, you know, quite confident I have the best hand. I check-raised, and he insta-called. And he called so fast, it put a little bit of doubt in my mind.
Could have flopped two pair or something, maybe you were thinking?
Could he have two pair? Could he have the straight? Could he have a bigger pocket pair? And he's slow-playing it. You know, deuce on the turn. I'm betting another $2.5 million.
That gave him the gut shot, right?
And he insta-called. Well, no, the flop was 2-4-5 with two diamonds. 2-4-5 with two diamonds on the board.
So he flopped the gut shot.
So he had ace-4 with the gut, you know, he has pair 4, second pair, ace-kicker, gut shot, straight draw. So he can beat me with an ace-3 or a 4. So he has 9 outs twice at that point. Now the deuce comes, and that's like almost a perfect card. You don't really put him on a deuce raising pre-flop. And it's not an overcard. And any other non-overcard that didn't pair the board was going to make a straight possible. Well, I guess except for a 7, doesn't make a straight anymore possible. So, but if a 3 or the 5 comes, you can, or the, you know, you're worried about that. If the ace comes, you're double worried. The deuce was absolutely, I mean, other than an 8, safest card in the deck. So I bet out into him, and he instantly called. And now I was starting to wonder, because he's calling so fast. It's like, you know, am I beat? You know, and I was starting to feel like maybe he made the straight. And then another deuce comes on the river, and I have a full house, and it's like, okay, I'm not worried about a straight, and I just don't think there's any chance he has an overpair, 9s or higher. I just don't think that's possible. To be honest, I probably should have checked the river, because at that point...
Why do you say that?
Well, because it's one of, and when you bet the river, there's only 2 things you should be thinking about. How often can I get them to call with a worse hand? How often can I get them to fold a better hand? Nothing else matters. There's none of this issues about accidentally giving a free card if you don't bet. You're not worried about that anymore, of course.
Yeah.
You've either won or you've lost, and that's it.
Yes.
It's a total dichotomy now. And I should not have thought there were many hands I was beating that he would call. And I certainly didn't think there was any hands that had me beat that he would fold. So I didn't think he would fold pocket nines or better at all.
Not in that spot.
So I think that's about 0%. And then how often will he call me with a worse hand? That doesn't seem like a very likely thing either. And so then the question becomes, you know, maybe I should check instead, because then I can let him bluff. You know, and if he has nothing, if he has something like 3-7, and he's been calling me down with a straight draw, now he knows he can't win at showdown. So now he might bluff. Or he might just have two big cards, you know, ace-king, ace-queen. He might have had jack-10 of diamonds for the flush draw with overcards. All those hands that he, you know, the ace-high hands, he should probably just check anyways, because then if I have a smaller flush draw, he wins. You know, he has showdown value. But there's lots of hands he could have been holding that have no showdown value, that he doesn't expect to ever win at a showdown, and now he'll bluff with those hands. So really the better play for me on the river would have been to check and try to induce a bluff. And if I'm beat, you know, oh well, I was going to lose either way.